There was this palpable sense whenever Austin was on stage performing live, the electricity on the set was something that I couldn't wait to see, up on screen.
You do work with creatives a number of times, like you mentioned editor Matt Villa, there's DOP Mandy Walker, Richard Roxburgh. Like, why do you like building your cast and crew with familiar faces?
I mean, I mix it up, but I do it because I'm from the theatre. You're used to going like, okay, we're an ensemble, now you're playing the bad guy, but okay, you can do this, I revel in the fact that actors always have more notes on their instrument than they usually get to play. And one of the joys I have is going to someone like, back in the day before he passed, Bill Hunter in Strictly Ballroom. Like, he was only ever cast as Cops. Same with Tom. Tom, to play this kind of really complicated, probably slightly scary, strange, not very nice person, not particularly lovable, is definitely not his normal gig.
Hank wants you off the tour, so I will have to leave Hank.
Obviously not all your films have been made in Australia, but to date you've created kind of then contemporary kind of ballroom scene, you've created Paris in 1900, the Roaring Twenties in New York, and now 50s, 60s, 70s America. Why do you keep coming back to Australia to tell these stories?
We have amazing relationships with long-term creative crew, and you take sound. I just saw Wayne from Big Bang last night, or Maddie Villa and John O'Redman, the editors, or it doesn't matter, long Kerry from Water. Now I'm starting to list crew members, but some people work with me over 30 years, and that's a wonderful thing. But it's a great place to make a movie. And the Goldie was just golden to us. It was we were really genuinely not expecting it to be just what it turned out to be. And it was magic.
What kind of excites you more? Is it recreating those iconic costumes and sets, or is it creating the broader world, the everyday clothing and the kind of things that maybe people don't see as much, but it's all in the backgrounds of the shots?
I'm interested, I suppose, in translating Baz's kind of story vision. So it's always about supporting the story and what the right choices are, in order for the audience to connect with a story point or know where they are or know who that person is. But I think that the background or the background actors are absolutely quintessential to setting the scene. Their inner life and what they do and what they look like creates the world in which the main cast live. So to me, I think that is extremely important and really interesting.
Get a haircut, buttercup!
If I think to some of your other projects, they seem to focus more on a specific time and location, whereas Elvis really spans a huge amount of time. How did you find the challenge of that, and did you have a favorite time period to work in, the 50s, 60s or 70s?
Not really. I think they all had their challenges. The 50s had a really big scope because we had so many different crowds, whether they were audiences or Beale Street, and all subtly different, whether it was at the carnival, they were more countrified folk, but at the Hayride, they were more country and western. And then in Beale Street, it's an African-American look. So all these subtle things meant that you actually needed it wasn't like you could kind of tweak someone's outfit. They were all completely different 50s looks.
We can play some house now, baby. Come back, baby, come back, baby, come.
If I think back to some of your other projects, particularly Australia, the number of people I speak to that got their start on that film or it was a real career progression. So Cian O'Cleary, who makes Love on the Spectrum, was a driver and did EPK.
Yeah, I know Cian,
Greg Fraser won the Oscar this year, but was second unit cinematography. What do you see as these movies that you make, these huge movies, as being important to the industry in terms of that career progression for these artists?
We are all about giving people a go. In fact, Sim and I, sometimes we were confronted with situations because of the COVID, and we're not that scared of going like, well, X doesn't have the credits, but we believe in them. Let's support them and give them a go. And people supported us in stepping up. So opportunity and supporting people's growth is fundamental in having a robust and healthy film culture.
Elvis was one of the first big major movies to really be impacted by COVID. Can you talk about from a producing standpoint, how you managed that at the time, looking back on it now?
Well, I think we were managing it within the context of a giant global event that had not been seen in sort of any of our generations. So you sort of have to we're both managing our expectations around the movie while also everyone's living through this, and so is the entire world. And I think the only way that the only thing we sort of knew how to do was to work together and to stick together. And we remained, the sort of the core Basmark team at least remained in the Gold Coast. And even Austin Butler is a tremendous testament to his dedication to the project. He sort of declined to go back to the US when the film was shut down, and he stayed right there in the Gold Coast. But not a single scene was cut or any aspect of Baz's vision sacrificed because of COVID.
The greatest show on earth.